I connected with a rubbery texture, and I knew at that point I'm dealing with a shark here. And the third time I hit it, it kind of like jumped the opposite direction. I saw the whole body, and swam. Thankfully, it swam away. And at that point, I just screamed to all our lifeguards that were in the water at the time to get to shore, get to shore.
I did not go swimming because of the sharks.
Get out.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna risk it.
I'm scared, but
Sharks right now?
I'm ready.
People kill more sharks every year than sharks kill people.
Well, you know, plenty of people did go in, right?
Yeah, of course. And the question is, though, how much should we really worry about sharks around here?
Now, we have Chris Paparo with us to answer some questions. He's in charge of the lab at Stony Brook Southampton Marine Science Center and has 20 years experience working with sharks.
Chris, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So, be honest now. How worried should we be about sharks at our beaches and shore locations this summer?
Well, you know, it should always be a concern. You know, the sharks are there. You know, as you could see with that lifeguard, there's the potential of getting hurt. But the one thing is that, you know, you hear everybody, they're afraid they won't go in the water because they heard about a shark attack. But yet, people will get behind the wheel of their car and drive to the beach. And, you know, there were, as you mentioned earlier, tens of thousands of people taken to the water. And there was one incident of a shark, but there was hundreds of motor vehicle accidents and on the expressway, the thruway. You know, the chances are you're going to get in an accident before you even see a shark once you get to the beach.
So, I mean, are we making way too much about the threat of sharks off of our beaches?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the sharks are there, and it's something that people should be educated about, that they are there. You know, but they're not there to eat people. Now, the one with the lifeguard, you know, he was in a training exercise, so I don't know the details, but I'm going to assume he was maybe struggling, pretending to be a victim. Well, to a shark, that draws in attention. You know, they're going to see what's this floundering around in the water, what's splashing. You know, is it something that I could potentially eat? You know, got to remember, they also don't have hands like we do to touch something and feel something. They have their mouth. So, you know, even a curiosity touch is going to something that could be potentially harmful.
So the reality is, like you said, they are out there. Sharks are out there. But really, how many are there out there? I mean, and is what's bringing them here? Is it climate change?
Well, you know, it's one thing is, you know, sharks, like as you mentioned, they've always been here. Some species that are very common, mako, blue shark, thresher, they've always been here. Me and my colleagues have been tagging great whites, like the one that's pictured behind me. We've tagged 35 baby great whites here on Long Island. But due to climate change, we're starting to see some other species that maybe weren't as common here. So the spinner shark, those are the ones that you're showing in the video where there's like a school of sharks swimming around. That's a species that was common maybe far north to like southern New Jersey. But now, as oceans warming up, we're starting to see them more frequently in our waters. With that same point, though, species such as blue shark and mako, which are cooler water, are also now starting to shift a little bit north. We see a lot fewer blue sharks than we did, say, 15, 20 years ago.
Now, Chris, I want to go back to, and I'll tell my producer to go back to that video that we were just showing. You shot that video last year off the coast of Long Island, and I'm assuming that was much deeper water. Those are blacktip sharks. We think of sharks as sea creatures, but they do often frequent shallow water, right?
Yeah, I mean, the video that I shot last year was less than a quarter mile off the beach, so, you know, within, you know, a couple hundred yards of shore. You know, and the sharks are there. Even the great white behind me, the one that that's pictured behind me, we caught that in about 30 feet of water. You know, so these sharks are not always far offshore. Many species, such as the spinner shark, the great white, thresher sharks, sandbar sharks, dusky sharks, sand tiger sharks, these are all found not only close to shore, but many of the species are even found inside the bay. You know, but again, if you look at the total numbers, last year there were 73 unprovoked shark attacks worldwide.
Wow.
You know, just think of how many people are in the ocean yesterday, you know, and we didn't hear anything from Long Island. So.
Yeah, so listen, big or small, I don't care. I'm scared of sharks. I'm just going to be honest here. So what do we do if we're actually attacked by one or approached by one or have one hovering around us?
As hard as it might be, but to stay calm and kind of think, you know, and the thing is you want to get out of the water, you know, and that's plain and simple, you know. Yes, you know, lifeguard was hitting the shark, and if that's what happens when it bites you, you know, that's what you do. But, you know, at first, just if you see a shark, leave the water. That's your safest bet. You know, and some things to keep in mind. Swimming at dawn and dusk, I would advise against. Swimming in large schools of those Atlantic menhaden and the bunkerfish, you don't want to swim in a giant school. Now, not because, again, the shark is going to eat you, but it might crash through that school trying to eat a bait fish, and then you're in that school. So, stay out of there. Don't swim in areas where there's a lot of seal activity. Luckily, on Long Island, we don't have that in the summer months. But, again, that's something to keep in mind if you go on vacation further north.
Chris, one of the county executives also said, be careful swimming in areas where people are shore casting because they're actually throwing bait into the water.
Yeah, I mean, that's something to consider as well because, again, that would be a bait would draw in sharks. There are many people that fish for sharks from shore on Long Island, which in fact is illegal. The species that they're targeting are prohibited species. They're not allowed to fish for or target them. So those activities, if someone sees them doing on the beach, they should report it because, again, that's not a legal activity. So that's something that should be taken care of as well.
All right, marine scientist Christopher Paparo, thank you so much for talking to us.